practical tools for you to manage anxiety and overwhelm. So recording this video brings me anxiety because there's so many things to set up before I start recording, and what am I going to say, and all those background noise around me. Hopefully you can't hear them. So simple things like recording a video can bring anxiety, being in traffic, being in a stressful situation at work, being in a meeting, presenting a project, deciding where your kids are going to school, and work, business, parties, going on a date. That's a lot of anxiety that can arise. So anxiety is a very broad topic, and I'm going to make it very specific and simple for you to be able to manage it when anxiety arises, and that you can really take it down a notch right at this spot. Have you ever noticed that anxiety is always something about the future? It's about worrying about the future, worrying about something that's about to come or not, because most of the times the anxiety stays in our body and it's all made up in our minds. So that's the function of anxiety. Anxiety is energy in the body that wants to be utilized and wants to be used, it wants to be expressed. And if you don't do anything with the anxiety, it can become even bigger, or you can go into a downward spiral of having no energy or lack of motivation. If you decide to take action on the anxiety your body is bringing to you, then you start doing stuff. You start accomplishing things. So that's the first thing for you to notice, for you to observe, is that anxiety is energy in your body that wants to be expressed, and anxiety comes with thoughts and worries about the future, because we don't get anxious about what happened from the past. It's always about something that is unknown, that could be uncertain, and that could be a surprise. Before we move on to the steps to manage and deal with anxiety, allow me to share with you a story. And something that's very present for me right now is that I've been learning to drive and ride a scooter, and that brings me a lot of anxiety. So it's been about a month that I've been learning how to drive the scooter, and I've noticed how the evolution has been happening in terms of me first avoiding going out from the house, because I would be worried about the cars. I would worry about looking stupid or looking like I don't know what I'm doing. And just the fear of being outside, being a beginner, learning something new and something different. The next thing that brought me a lot of anxiety while driving the scooter is that there is real danger. There is real physical danger of getting hurt. And with that, it brings a different level of fear. It is not something in my mind, because it really is real. And I cannot control the traffic. I cannot control how other people drive. But what I can do is that I can get better at driving, at the skill of riding the scooter. And that's on me. And the most surprising thing that I noticed from driving the scooter is that my intensity tolerance is really low. I used to work out a lot. I used to do a lot of high intensity interval training, a lot of CrossFit, strength training, strongman. So a lot of high intensity efforts. And it's been a few years that I don't train that way. So I noticed that my intensity tolerance has decreased by a lot. And how I noticed that is that I live in a place that is uphill, and I need to really drive the scooter uphill and downhill. So with my background of coaching and knowing how to talk to myself and encourage myself in those difficult moments, I was guiding myself throughout the whole process of going uphill for the first time. And I will walk you through how that happens in our minds and in the body so that you have the tools to deal with anxiety and overwhelm when it attacks you. And then you're actually able to stay calm, stay very present, and find solutions and desired outcomes instead of being controlled by the anxiety. So let's go ahead and use the example of me riding the scooter uphill, the first time that I drove the scooter uphill, and what feelings that brought me and how much anxiety that brought me at the time. The most important thing for you to successfully manage anxiety and reduce anxiety on the spot is for you to be able to notice yourself in that moment. So the moment that you are becoming anxious, the moment that you are feeling overwhelmed, maybe your heart is beating really fast, maybe your hands are sweating cold, and all those things are signs that you are getting overwhelmed, you're getting stressed. I'm going to walk you through a framework that is called the OODA loop. The OODA loop is something that I learned from my breathwork coach and mentor, William Burnett, and he was in the military in Australia, so that's where he got the OODA loop from. So the OODA loop, it's O, it means observe. O again, it means orientate. D, it means decide. And A, it means act. So OODA loop, observe, orientate, decide, and act. And this loop happens in a loop forever, anytime throughout our lives, anytime throughout our day, anytime in the present moment it is happening. So you can consciously choose to pay attention to what's going on within you, around you, and with that, you're able to manage anxiety. How does this work practically? I'm going to walk you through the OODA loop in the context of me driving the scooter uphill. And for you to be able to apply the OODA loop in your daily life, I'm going to give you the basics of breathing. So before we jump into the OODA loop, let's set the foundation of your breath being the immediate feedback of what's happening in your nervous system and also what's happening in your body. So however you're breathing, if you're breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, or in through the nose, out through the mouth, or in through the mouth, out through the mouth, then those are indicators of what your mind, your nervous system is at, and also what your body is doing, what your body is feeling, how your body is feeling. So that's the first thing. Your breath is the immediate feedback of the state of your nervous system and the state of your body. So let's say you're breathing in and out through the nose. Breathing slowly, it means that you're in a calm, relaxed state. If you're breathing in and out through the mouth, you are stressed, alert, and that's a hyperstimulated state. Moving on to the OODA loop. The OODA loop means observe, orientate, decide, and act. Those are the 4 steps that happens whenever you're feeling overwhelmed or anytime that you're consciously present in the moment. And you have the choice to check in and see what's going on within you. So let's bring an image of myself going uphill, driving the scooter uphill for the first time. The first thing I did is that I noticed, I observed my body and my breath. What I observed is that I was getting nervous. I was getting nervous because for a little while I stopped breathing and I noticed my shoulders tensing up. I was with my shoulders really stiff. Those are two things that were happening within my body that I observed. What happens sometimes that people tend to get cold sweat in their hands, feeling heart palpitations, and getting jittery. So those are a few of the bodily signals that happens when you are getting overwhelmed or stressed. After I observed that I was getting nervous, that I was nervous, then I orientated. Orient means give direction. So I gave direction to what was happening. So I oriented my attention to my breath. I oriented my attention to my body. I was tensing up in my shoulders. And I oriented my attention to my mind. I noticed I was getting overwhelmed by my thoughts. There were a bunch of thoughts running in my head. I don't remember a particular one, but I know that I was everywhere in my mind. So I orientated all those three aspects. And then, as I was going uphill, in the beginning, I orientated my ears. I gave attention to the sound of the scooter as I was going up, so I wouldn't go super fast at once. So my goal was to maintain a consistent speed and keep the pace so that I would just gradually go up in that hill. The third step that I did was to decide. I decided what I wanted to do. So when I observed, I was a little bit holding my breath. And then I started, and the next time I observed, it changed. Next time I observed, I was breathing out slowly through the mouth. And with that, when I breathe slowly out through the mouth, is my body telling me that I'm trying to calm down. So I'm already in a high alert state and I am consciously making my body calm down, making my mind calm down so that I don't override and so that I don't get super overwhelmed and make a mistake. So I decided to keep doing what I was doing because I already observed that I was breathing out through my mouth slowly. That was good. That was okay. So I decided to keep doing that. I decided to tell myself, encourage myself with words of encouragement, affirmations. I used my coaching skills to tell myself, you're doing good. Keep going. Keep this pace. This is a good pace. Keep this pace. Keep going. You're doing good. Just keep going. That was what I decided to do mentally in my mind, to tell myself, encourage myself. And the third thing that I decided to do was to relax my shoulders. It was tense, and then I decided to relax. So those were the decisions that I made in that moment as I was going uphill. And the fourth step is to act. Action. Take action. I took action on the decisions that I made. So I did tell myself that I was doing a good job for me to keep the pace. I was listening to the sound of the scooter so that I would keep that same sound and not go too fast. I acted on the decision that I made of keep breathing out through the mouth slowly. So those are the 4 steps that happens That's the OODA loop that happens when we pay attention to what we're doing. And in that high stressful situation for me, I could go through the OODA loop consciously and successfully go uphill. That's a short story of how you deal with anxiety and overwhelm on the spot. I'll give you a different example. If you're in a high stressful meeting and there are many people giving their opinions, you don't agree with the opinions of people, and then you notice yourself either breathing through your mouth and into your chest, like about to give an answer, or you're about to say something or comment something, and then you notice yourself doing that, you have the ability and you have the choice to either close your mouth and breathe out and listen, or you have the choice of saying what you want to say. And if you're sure about what you're going to say, great. But if you're reacting to something that triggered you and then you disagree with, then that's the time for you to assess if you want to go for it or if you want to maintain your calm and composure. So the OODA loop: observe, orientate, direct, and act. It is present in every activity that we do. If you have a formal practice of training or meditating, surfing, giving speech, public speaking, teaching, and also communicating with family, with your kids, driving, competing, all those things are opportunities for you to practice the OODA loop, because this is when life is happening. Life happens and you need to be able to respond to situations instead of reacting. So this is how you manage anxiety and overwhelm. And the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. So I invite you to start practicing, start noticing your breath, your mind, your emotions, and then responding to those signals instead of reacting unconsciously. If you like this video, please leave a comment. I would love to read what you have to say. Thank you.